Hello, everyone. Waldo Winborn here, and I want to talk to you about when parents hear the phrase, follow the child's lead. It can sound confusing or even risky. Some worry it means letting children run the show or removing structure altogether. But following a child's lead isn't about giving up authority, it's about paying attention. Following the child's lead means noticing what your child is drawn to, what they're curious about, and what they're communicating, often without words. Children show us their inner world through play, movement, questions, and even behavior. When you follow a child's lead, you're saying, I see you. I'm interested in your experience. That doesn't mean you say yes to everything. It means you start with connection before direction. Children learn best when they feel understood, when their interests guide their interaction. Their brain is more open, more flexible, and more ready to grow. Following the lead is about relationship first because learning and regulation grow out of connection. Sometimes here at the office, we'll ask a parent just stay present with their kiddo, go into the playroom, and follow the child's lead. Half the time, parents don't really understand what that means because most adults have authority placed in the title. That's part of who they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to show up. But when we give parents a directive to do that, it can be a little bit confusing. In the playroom, we've seen everything from parents telling children that they're playing the wrong way, or they want to give instructions for a teaching moment versus a connection moment. But in reality, our ability to stay attuned and to go with the flow actually shows a little bit of our own flexibility. It shows the children that we are also able to adapt, which is something we ask them to do often. So next time you want to spend time with your kiddo, it's good old wholesome fun. Just try to follow the lead, let go of your ego, let go of what you think needs to happen, and maybe just see what happens. As long as we stay safe, there's a lot of things we can get done. One of the big myths about following a child's lead is that it means there are no boundaries and that children are going to run amok and they're going to think that they're in control. Well, that's not true. Children actually feel safer when limits are clear and consistent. Following the lead means how limits are introduced, not whether they exist. You can follow a child's curiosity and still hold boundaries. You can join their play and still keep things safe. You can acknowledge their wants while holding the limit. For example, you might say, you really want to keep playing. I get that. It's hard to stop, and it's time to clean up now. That's following the emotional lead while holding the structure. Sometimes we might even give something encouraging like, you know what? This was fun for me also. I'd love to do it again. If tomorrow's the day, then tomorrow. If it's later this afternoon, later this afternoon. When limits come with understanding instead of power struggles, children learn cooperation rather than compliance. They feel guided instead of control. And over time, that builds trust. Children regulate best when they feel seen, when adults slow down and follow their lead. A child's nervous system feels safer. Safety is what allows regulation to happen. When we rush, direct, or override a child's experience too quickly, their body often escalates. And when we join them, whether in play, emotion, or curiosity, their system settles. This is especially important for children with big feelings or stress histories. Following their lead gives them a sense of control in a world where they often feel powerless. Regulation doesn't come from correction. It comes from connection. And following the lead is one of the most powerful ways to build that connection and show them that we trust them and love them, and maybe even delight in them. When children experience adults who follow their lead, something important happens internally. They begin to trust themselves. They learn that their thoughts, feelings, and interests matter. This doesn't create entitlement. It creates confidence. Children who feel respected are more willing to listen, more open to guidance, and more secure in relationships. Following their lead also strengthens trust between parent and child and parent. The child learns my caregiver pays attention to me. I'm not alone with my experience. Over time, that trust becomes the foundation for independence, resilience, and healthy decision making. Following the child's lead isn't a parenting shortcut. It's a long-term investment in relationship and growth. When parents hear following the children's lead, discipline is often where they might feel a little stuck. It can sound like there are no rules or that behavior goes unaddressed, but following a child's lead during discipline doesn't mean avoiding limits. It means leading with understanding before correction. Discipline is about teaching, not controlling, and teaching works best when a child feels emotionally safe and connected. Following the child's lead during discipline starts with noticing what's underneath the behavior. Is your child overwhelmed, tired, seeking connection, struggling with transition? Behavior itself is communication, especially when children don't yet have the words. This doesn't mean you ignore behavior. You still hold limits, but the order matters. Correction first, guidance second. For example, you might say, I see how frustrated you are. Hitting isn't okay. I'm here to help. That approach follows the emotional lead while clearly setting a boundary. Sometimes, though, you'll see parents at the supermarket, they get stuck saying this over and over and over again. Usually that means the parent hasn't made connection with the child first, or the child isn't grounded enough to have language to be able to hear and understand what the parent's saying. Sometimes we need to slow that down just a bit, so that way we can say, I see you and I'm with you. And then when they're able to understand what we're saying, we go back to a teaching moment, but not until they're able to hear it. When discipline comes from calm leadership rather than urgency or power, children are more able to learn. Their nervous system isn't in survival mode, but their brain stays open. Over time, this kind of discipline teaches more than rules. It teaches self-control, empathy, and problem solving. Children learn not just what to do, but how to handle hard moments. Following the child's lead during discipline doesn't weaken authority, it strengthens it. It allows children to know they don't need to fear to learn. They don't need to fear guidance. They can go to your guidance, and your consistency and your relationship will always be there, no matter how big of a mistake they made. And when those come together, discipline becomes a pathway to growth, not a break in connection. Thank you, and have a great afternoon. And I hope this was beneficial, as it was a lot.